Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we have UFC 320, finally. We're doing the predictions. I'm excited for this card, so let's get into it. Veronica Hardy versus Brogan Walker is the first fight on the card, and I'm going with Veronica Hardy. I think it just makes more sense. Brogan Walker seems to be a little inactive. She was also finished by Juliana Miller in 2022, which I think is not a great look. And also her last fight was in 2023 with Yasmin Lucindo, which she also lost. So also Veronica Hardy is like pretty deep, like she's pretty good technically, honestly. She won against JJ Aldridge, Jamie Linhorth, Juliana Miller. The only like thing is she did get out muscled by Eduarda Moura. But honestly, like I feel like that's to be expected because it was the first time Eduarda Moura was actually fighting in her correct weight class, and she was just able to win by brute force. This isn't going to happen with Brogan Walker. I really don't think so. So yeah, I'm going to take Veronica Hardy because I think it's going to be a technical fight, and I think she has the upper hand here. Next one up is Ramiz Brahimaj versus Austin Vanderford. This is interesting. I'm leaning towards Austin Vanderford. I feel like he can like hold his own on the feet. I think Ramiz Brahimaj has this approach on the feet, kind of like how Khabib used to do it, where he would just strike in order to get a takedown. And that's basically like the extent of his like striking capacity. He's just like, okay, I'm only striking because I will try to follow it up with a takedown. But I feel like Austin Vanderford is going to be hard to take down. Like, have you seen his thighs? He's just so thickly built. He's built, I don't think he's built to get taken down that easily. So the only thing is, Ramiz Brahimaj seems to have the psycho factor from what I've seen, and it makes me wonder how like the actual exchanges will go, because a lot of the times these guys with like the psycho energy tend to just outmaneuver their opponents because they like can use their adrenaline more effectively. But I am still going to lean towards Austin Vanderford. You guys can get my final thoughts on this at the weigh-in. For now, we're going with Austin Vanderford. Next up on the card, we have Punahele Soriano versus Nikolay Veretennikov. I'm going with Punahele Soriano. Nikolay Veretennikov, unfortunately, has proven himself to be a questionable pick these days. Absolutely zero ground game, though I don't know how important that's going to be in this fight. But I also didn't really like how he looked against Francisco Prado, who he also lost against, Nikolay Veretennikov. I also just think that Punahele has fought better dudes if you look at his record. I feel like he's going to have more answers here, more experience. I think I don't really need to say much more there. Yeah, Nikolay Veretennikov, decent on the feet, I guess, but also I really didn't like his recent performances. I really didn't like them. So anyhow, let's move on to the next one, guys. Patchy mix versus Jakub Wiklacz. Okay. Okay, the only thing I really know about Patchy Mix, because he is a newcomer to the UFC, is that he kind of got schooled by Mario Bautista in his debut. Though maybe they were like, I like it felt like a bit of a mismatch, but I feel like sometimes that happens with these debut fights. The problem, though, that he just looked so stiff and answerless in that fight. Luckily for him, though, he's fighting a grappler this time. Jakub Wiklacz is also a grappler. He's not going to be, pulling a Mario Bautista on him on the feet. And I think this is an interesting fight because I've been watching Jakub Wiklacz fight. He looks very awkward. He has this Polish awkwardness. You know what I mean? Like these Polish fighters, sometimes they just like, they go all in with full intensity, but they look awkward, and sometimes you can't tell if it's just awkwardness or like a skill deficiency. But he seems to win by brute force. Like this is how these Polish people. I was explaining that Jakub actually, despite all of his awkwardness, gets pretty solid reversals, and in general, he seems to like give it his all. Another thing is Patchy Mix, I've noticed, looks extremely uncomfortable whenever he's in a position that he didn't intentionally put himself in. Like extremely uncomfortable. Like he cannot remain calm. He starts really struggling from what I've seen. And I feel like we're gonna get a lot of these moments in this fight where Patchy Mix will be in extremely weird positions because Jakub Wiklacz is just like a wild child. Like Wiklacz, yeah. I feel like this is not going to be a situation where Patchy Mix is just going to fully control and get his way. So even though I feel like Jakub's style isn't that refined, I am going to go with him. I think he can hang, and I think he can win. So let's move on to the next one, guys. Macy Chiasson versus Yana Santos. This is interesting. My initial thought when I saw this fight was Macy Chiasson. For some reason, she's been like the fighter that people are thinking is good. And I also think she's good. Don't get me wrong. I think she's good. I also just think that Yana Santos is underrated. And I don't just think she's underrated, but they both fought the bridge troll, Ketlin Souza. Okay? And I'm not, like, I mean this in the nicest way possible, really, I do. I'm just saying, what happened to Macy Chiasson in that fight? Macy Chiasson got cooked by the bridge troll, I'll say that. But Yana Santos could actually hang, you know? Like, Yana Santos has this energy. She has the fighting aura, and that's something I really underestimated with her a few times. I was very impressed with how much pressure Yana Santos was able to put on Ketlen Vieira in their fight. And that's something like Macy Chiasson really struggled with. I really do feel like Yana Santos is being overlooked here. She fights with a lot of heart and she's tough. So again, I feel like Macy Chiasson is good, but I think there's something she's missing in her toolkit to really have this matchup go in her favor. And I feel like the fact that they also both fought Ketlen Vieira, Yana Santos won and looked much better against her. People are forgetting this. I think I also almost didn't notice it. I looked at the record and I was like, oh shit, they both fought her. So we're going with Yana Santos. Next up, we have Daniel Santos versus Joosang Yu. I gotta go with the undefeated Joosang Yu. I love how cleanly he caught Jeka Saragi in his last fight. That was like a super powerful, clean left hook. I'm even like picturing it now, just like boom. Anyways, he also did all of that while the pressure was fully on him and he was going backwards. So I like this for him as a fighter. I do. And I feel like, you know, Daniel Santos is good too. He can brawl, but I feel like even if you can brawl against a guy like Joosang Yu who has the speed and who has like the ability not to crumble, like he didn't crumble with what happened in the Jeka Saragi fight where he was fully going backwards. You know, the fact, like it's really difficult, I feel like, to be put on the back foot, have all that pressure come towards you, and then be able to still land a clean shot. So I'm going with Joosang Yu. He's undefeated. I feel like he's got everything he needs to win this fight. Anyways, let's move on to the next one, guys. Chris Gutierrez versus Farid Basharat. Okay, so I feel like Chris Gutierrez really is like a crackhead on the feet, but he's not really a grappler. And I feel like Farid Basharat can really hang on the feet until he takes you down. I watched his fight with Victor Hugo, and that situation was gayer than the Neil Magny and Jake Matthews fight from last week. Like, I just feel like Chris Gutierrez is bound to get taken down, thrown around, latched onto and squeezed from all sorts of body parts, you know? Yeah. I'm going with Basharat by submission, guys. I just feel like it's bound to happen. I like his grappling style. He doesn't really let his opponent slip away. So, yeah, so I can rely on him to actually get the job done. Going with Farid Basharat by sub. Next one up the card is Edmen Shabazyan versus Andre Muniz. I'm going with Edmen Shabazyan. Muniz crumbles, and I really hate that for him. I can never pick a fighter with that energy. He's like way too overly cautious in his approach. He's constantly looking for openings and poking mostly with these straight kicks, like fighting at a super distance. You can tell he's just really not trying to get in there. And he doesn't have the fighting aura that I'm looking for to beat a guy like Andre Muniz. Dude was laying on his back in round 2 with Paul Craig and waiting to be stood up by either like Paul Craig or the judge, just like lying there. You know how it goes sometimes. But instead, Paul Craig just jumped on top of him and ground and pounded him to a finish. So like, you know what I mean? Like I don't like this energy in a fighter at all. And Edmen Shabazyan can actually, he's actually good. So I'm picking Edmen Shabazyan. I think it's a pretty straightforward situation. Also, Edmen has fought a wide range of opponents, so he's reliable. I'm picking him to win by KO, actually. I think he's going to KO Andre Muniz. Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Ateba Gautier versus Ozzy Diaz. You already know I'm going with Ateba Gautier. Surprise, surprise, we all know what's going to happen here. Besides the fact that 7 out of 8 of his wins are KO wins, I feel like he's truly one of the rare few that understands what's going on in the cage. Like what actually needs to happen in the cage, you know, as a fighter to win. You can just tell he switches himself on when he's in there. And that's just not something you see from every guy. I just feel like he's operating at the highest frequency necessary to get the win. You know what I mean? He's just so fast and so powerful and so present. Like so present. It's kind of really awesome to watch. And yeah, Ozzy Diaz is just not on that same level. He's just not. He's not on the same level. Ateba Gautier is going to KO him. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. Abus Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer. This is a bit of a difficult one for me because Abus Magomedov has shown us that he can indeed crumble, like how he did in the Sean Strickland fight and also in the Caio Borralho fight, which I really, really don't like for him. Like, I feel like these days, now that I really know who Sean Strickland is as a fighter, I just feel like if you're crumbling from Sean Strickland's shots, I have to question you a little bit. Just a little bit, you know what I mean? I just feel like there are indeed options in a Sean Strickland fight, and if you're not taking them, my confidence in picking you really goes down. And also, you know, Joe Pyfer, I feel like Joe Pyfer can actually hold it down. He won against Kevin Gastelum. I feel like that's a pretty decent win. I feel like my thing with Abus Magomedov is I feel like he can handle these explosive lower fight IQ guys like Miguel Pereira, Bruno Ferreira. But when his opponent becomes technical, like Sean Strickland, right, it becomes an issue for him. You can see this on his record. It's like, why is he losing against these dudes? It's because he can't like, for some reason it's the technical thing that like knocks him off balance. But these explosive guys, he knows what to do with. Joe Pyfer isn't like that. He's very technical. So I'm leaning towards Joe Pyfer. I'm going to pick Joe Pyfer. Yeah. I'll let you know if anything changes at the weigh-in, but we're going with Joe Pyfer. Anyways, on to the next one. Josh Emmett versus Youssef Zalal. Honestly, I feel like Josh Emmett is going to KO Youssef Zalal. I feel like, I know Youssef Zalal has lost some aura, but also I've just been like watching both of their fights and looking at Youssef Zalal's build and how he fights and comparing it to Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett's like a really like heavy, stockier dude. And Youssef Zalal's got more of that like light, airy twig vibe. Not saying he's a twig, but like a little bit more like this, you know? Firstly, I feel like Josh Emmett is more of like a counter striker than Youssef Zalal. Not that either of them, yeah, are super offensive, but Youssef Zalal isn't that. I feel like Youssef Zalal also isn't that careful. Like the thing about Josh Emmett is he's pretty cautious out there. Like he doesn't really make mistakes. He's got kind of like a you know, straightforward approach, but Youssef Zalal's made mistakes. I've seen him get booped by like Calvin Cater. I've seen him just go like one of those ones where he just goes in and just gets like smacked in the face. Just very bad planning. I just don't feel like Youssef Zalal is like on the level that everyone appointed him to be at. But I'm not sure if I'm like correct about this, but I just feel like he's going to make some mistake. Overall, the only thing I really don't like about Josh Emmett is just like you see him in there, like hunting sometimes his opponent, waiting for something, and it just like sometimes it doesn't come. But you know, I know that Zalal's gonna poke at him. He's gonna go in. Zalal will try. Zalal does close the distance. He will go in. It's not like he's just going to fight at a distance and frustrate Josh Emmett completely. So I feel like he's going to go in and he's going to eat some damage. I feel like he's going to get KO'd. I'm taking Josh Emmett by KO. Hey. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. I'm going with Yuri Prochazka, guys. I just think he's in a better position in this fight. And I feel like his style is going to be too much for Khalil. If you look at Khalil's fights, his previous fights and his record, he loses to these more explosive types, and regardless of how good they are. For instance, Marcin Prachnio, Jan Kutalaba, You know what I mean? And every single one of his recent wins are against like these steadier, slower paced dudes. Like Jamal Hill, Anthony Smith, you know what I mean? Dustin Jacoby, yeah, Modestas Bukauskas. These guys I feel like he can handle, but I feel like Yuri really puts the pressure on. Like Yuri is an intense opponent, I think, you know, especially for a guy like Khalil. Because I feel like Khalil, for him to get into the zone, there needs to be like a certain kind of pace. And I just don't feel like that pace is going to be here. I feel like Yuri Prochazkas are going to just be throwing and throwing and throwing, and it's going to be hard for Khalil to keep up. So I'm going with Yuri Prochazka. Yeah. Let's move on to the next one, guys. The co-main event. Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen. I'm going with Merab. And guys, I have one word for you. Kavkaz. Okay? Kavkaz. Which I recently discovered. Kavkaz is the Caucasus, but in Russian. I never realized it was the same word, but yes. For everyone that understands how like tough and hardcore Russia is, Kavkaz is like that on steroids. Okay? And I recently really understood what that meant. I feel like all of this hardcoreness that Russians have, it all comes from Kavkaz, honestly. Like I feel like it's just an adaptation. I just feel like there's no way that this malnourished looking Sandhagen is going to win this one. You know what I mean, brother? Like I don't see it happening. And Merab's only getting better. He's only getting better. He has that kind of spirit of a person like that just keeps proving himself and proving that he's like the best. And he's fighting himself. He's not competing with anyone else. He's competing with himself, which, you know, he's like literally an actual machine. I don't see how Corey Sandhagen is winning this one. I don't see how Corey Sandhagen is winning this one at all. I don't think there's anything else to say, really. Merab mauls Sandhagen one way or another. I think there's going to be a finish here. Don't know which finish it's going to be, but I am counting on a finish from Merab Dvalishvili. So, yeah. Let's move on to the final one, guys. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. We're here. We are finally here. Again, Kavkaz. This word. Remember. Remember what we spoke about with Merab. Same situation. The people that this region produces are just so incredibly tough, and they've just got something else from their upbringing that other people didn't get, which allows them to just win in fights and like see things that other people are not seeing. Sometimes, I'm not saying all of them are like this, but I haven't seen this sort of thing from other parts of the world. Anyhow, I rewatched the first fight, guys. And I didn't realize how much Ankalaev was winning the whole time, basically. Just winning the whole time. He was locked in. And I realized that Ankalaev is the only opponent that Pereira has had who I've actually witnessed seeing the attacks coming to him. Like he's the one opponent that actually saw all of Pereira's shit coming to him. This is why he never, like, he was able to just stay in the zone. He never got, this is why we were all like, oh, why is Pereira not doing more? It's just because Pereira was like trying, but Magomed fucking saw it all happening. It's really interesting. It kind of reminds me of like how Khamzat knew all of DDP's next moves. Like it kind of felt like that watching this, honestly, but on the feed, you know? So I think this idea that people have that Alex Pereira is going to suddenly KO him goes away, because how can he suddenly KO him if he sees the attack, like he knows what's going to happen? I just don't see that happening. It didn't happen the first time at all. It's not going to happen this time. I don't think so, really. And I don't think all that much is going to change this time around, to be honest. For Pereira, anyways, I think there's something missing from his toolkit to be able to actually win this fight. I can't really fully explain what that is, but I feel like you guys kind of get it too. I think Pereira will work on his output, maybe, but honestly, I just feel like Ankalaev is sharper than him by baseline, I just don't see Pereira being able to fix that many things in his game to win here. I don't see it. I don't. I feel like Ankalaev is going to come in here and take this win. If anything, I feel like it's Ankalaev who's going to really improve a lot more because his base is stronger already by default. Like the starting place is kind of more solidified than Pereira's. So I'm going with Magomedov Ankalaev. I feel like this is a solid situation. And yeah, I actually feel really good about my picks this week overall, guys. These are all my thoughts that I have. So thank you, everybody, for coming here and watching my predictions. I am very, very excited for this week. We have some amazing fights. I'm excited to see Yuri back again and Marab. I've been watching the Georgia vlogs, which are actually pretty cool. Makes me want to go visit Georgia. It looks like a beautiful place. Anyways, guys. I think that wraps everything up. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and if you want to see more, yeah, that's the way to let me know. And I will see you on Friday for the weigh-ins as usual to confirm all of my picks, see what's going on there. If anything looks weird or sus, yeah, I'll let you know. And yeah, see you next time. Goodbye.